Hello once again, and welcome back to the Engine Room podcast. I'm here with Pablo and BUGA. We're going to be discussing Argentina going over Croatia, getting into the final, and then, of course, that miracle run from Morocco coming to an end. France getting the best of them, getting into the final. So we'll be talking about those two matches, plus a final preview. Pablo, why don't you go ahead and say hello to our audience here.
Yes, hello everyone. Nearly the last podcast of the World Cup. We've been covering it all, of course. The two games, I actually thought we were going to get an upset in, but it's like the first round we didn't get an upset. But still, good to be back, and it should be a good one.
Absolutely. And BUGA, say hello, and then give us your thoughts. Let's start with Argentina versus Croatia.
Okay. Muchachos, ahora no volvimos a ilusionar. Quiero ganar la tercera. Quiero ser campeón mundial. Okay, so I want Argentina to win. I think that's a given. And that game between Argentina and Croatia, I thought it would have been way more one-sided. Less one-sided. I thought it was going to be more tight. The reality is that I think Croatia were expecting their game plan, like always, to stretch the game out as far as they could into extra time. But the early penalty, which was it a penalty for you guys? Let me just put out there.
For me, yeah. By the way, for me, yeah.
Okay. For me, I don't know. I think it was a little bit soft, but I could see why it was given. But anyhow, I think that disrupted the plans from Croatia. Yeah. And then we ended up seeing just Argentina pummel through that second goal 4 minutes later from Julian Alvarez, La Arañita. What a goal. What a wonderful run, really, to be honest. And I think I'm getting ahead of myself for the final. But I think that we're seeing the passion and commitment to Argentina take them just to that next level. And remember how we were talking about that last episode? Some of you were saying, oh, maybe this could be, I don't know, a disadvantage because they can get caught up in the whole emotion of things. But sometimes it can work. If you manage to control your emotions and pummel through with it, it can get you to the final like Argentina has done against Croatia. And at the end of the day, I think for most of the game, Croatia weren't in it. I thought it was already too soon, too early, 2-0, and Argentina just soared into the final.
Yeah, I want to go back to that penalty because it is.
Yeah,
it's not controversial. It's just it's a call that you don't typically see in domestic league play, given as a penalty. There's a lot of times when you see a player get a touch around the keeper. And very often when that happens, if it doesn't look like they're able to catch up to the ball and the keeper makes contact with the player, the ref just kind of lets it go. When you slow this one down and you look at it, if Alvarez doesn't get taken out, I'm pretty sure that ball still gets cleared off the line. I don't think Alvarez gets to it in time. So was it a foul? Yes. Did it really need to be called? I don't know. I think you could have let it go.
Yeah, look, my instinct when I first saw it is definite penalty because like these are typical actions. You know, when the player gets there first, if the keeper then doesn't get the ball and he hits the player, penalty. Yeah. Then actually at halftime in the English coverage here on ITV, basically the whole panel, so people like Gary Neville, Ian Wright, I think Roy Keane was on there as well. They were all saying, "No way is that a penalty," and I was like, "Oh, what?" The argument they were making is because when Alvarez touches the ball, it's not like Livakovic comes out and swipes into Alvarez. Livakovic holds his position. Alvarez runs into him and they collide. And they were saying, what can he do? They're saying if a defender puts his leg out to block the shot, and an attacker then runs into that leg, that's the attacker's fault, not the defender's fault. So I think that was the case they were making. However, I kind of agree with that, to be fair, because it's like Livakovic doesn't come out and swipe Alvarez. He kind of comes out, thwarts the ball, and then Alvarez collides into him. And I think you're right. I don't think Alvarez was going to get that ball anyway. But I don't know. I just think because the contact is so forceful there, it just felt natural to give a penalty. But I do get the other side of the argument. And I actually saw there were a lot of people who didn't think that was a penalty.
BUGA, what do you think?
BUGA, you're muted. Vamos.
That's a first for the engine room. I drank my water and I forgot to unmute it. Okay, so I thought generally it was going to be a penalty. I thought that just the instances was calling upon for it. But I mean, it kind of ruined the game. We always see that sometimes when one play, one decision can ruin a game. But at the end of the day, I'm happy with it. I think Argentina deserved to go through. If Croatia went there and got to the final, I don't know. I don't know if it would have been that excited. All credits to Croatia. I think they did an amazing World Cup. But finishing third, finishing fourth, I think is good enough to cement themselves in a generation where you can just go and look back in the history books and look like 2018 finalists and semi-finalists in 2022. I think that's good enough. When you take a look at the whole spectrum of things, it's more than good enough. Like more than good enough. So I'm happy with Croatia. I really did enjoy what they did. But can we move on to Argentina? I want to hear your thoughts on Argentina.
Well, hang on. First, before we get into singing the praises of Argentina, because I do have some thoughts on that too. Are either of you disappointed, feeling like we got robbed of a Brazil-Argentina semifinal? Listen, I'm very happy that Messi made it to the final, and however that works out, I'm glad that was the result. But watching this match, I was like, this is not worthy of a semifinal. This is not the match that I wanted for this tournament. It's been an amazing tournament. There's been upsets, there's been drama, there's been everything that you want in a tournament, but it's kind of pittering out a little bit. So I'm glad that we have a final of Argentina, France, and not Croatia, Morocco. But I do feel a little bit robbed of a Argentina, Brazil semifinal. Yeah, no, I massively agree with that. I think Croatia for a World Cup semifinal just like weren't good enough. Like it just all unraveled. Like, and that's the issue with them. I mean, if their gritty game plan doesn't come off, and if you get a penalty and then a second goal, like they're not going to do anything, and they did nothing. I thought they weren't just poor. I thought they were very below par on the day. I just thought there was nothing. You're right, John. For a World Cup semi-final, come on, like Argentina will be laughing, absolutely laughing, because they weren't tested at all. And I know they did well, to be fair. We'll get on to them in a minute, like BUGA says, but Croatia weren't good enough, and that's a shame because they did do very well in previous rounds. I thought Kovacic is a player I want to point out. I thought he was superb in midfield, actually. He was excellent. Very good. Amazing. So point him out. Poor Guardiola, who's had an amazing tournament, but just got. That's what happens when you meet the boss, though, isn't it?
100%. But like you're saying, I think we were robbed of that Argentina-Brazil final, and certainly because here in South America, perhaps it's something that we get to see more often because of the qualifiers. But I just thought that for this new generation, they haven't seen that rivalry, and it's really can be that good on the biggest of stage. But I think at the end of the day, it also, I don't know, cositas están pasando. Like, I mean, when you take a look at how the cards are falling into the hand of Argentina, I think I think it's kind of like if Brazil finished in the semifinals and they matched up against Argentina, I thought they could have beat them, But now at the end of the day, it's kind of like Argentina reached the final because of Brazil's upset, and that's the sort of things that happen in a tournament and sort of the luck you need at the end of the day to be able to reach a final and maybe win a tournament.
No, definitely. Just quickly, John. But they needed to do it because, for example, England had the same thing in 2018. They played even worse than Argentina rounds before teams. They got Croatia in the semi-final. Well, that's your chance. You've got to take it. Didn't play well enough. Croatia dealt with them. Argentina did their job. Is there gonna? I feel like there are already arguments being made. Are people going to try to discount this run from Argentina and Lionel Messi in particular if they end up winning the final? How soon before we hear the argument of, but Argentina didn't really have to play anybody until the final against France? Yeah, no, that will come up. But those things always come up. Like us Barca fans, for example, we've said about Real Madrid's Champions Leagues because there's been some huge scandals, by the way. We're talking offside goals in finals. Just some horrific decisions I've seen in Real Madrid games that 2017 onwards was just really poor in my opinion. And we've said these Champions Leagues were like, a lot of them were robberies. Doesn't matter by the end of the day. Real Madrid still going on about their 14 Champions Leagues. So that will come up for sure. But if they beat France in the final as well, they won't care and Messi won't care. That's what I'm thinking. At the end of the day, it wraps up at the final. So however you got there, you have to beat the best, right? Yep. So France, defending champions, I think that's a good way to cap it off. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's circle back. Let's talk about how good Argentina and Lionel Messi in particular have been. I mean, this World Cup,
I think we had Ronaldo, we had Neymar, we had Messi kind of as the headlines for their final World Cups. Then you had the next generation, of course, Mbappe, Harry Kane, and some others. But this has been the Lionel Messi show. And I think this has been a prime example of why Messi fans are so loyal, because not only is he amazing individually, just a joy to watch, but he makes everybody around him better. That's the big differentiator for me between Ronaldo and Messi in particular. When you look at Portugal and Ronaldo and their relationship, how they play with each other, it's not gelled. It's not chemistry. It's
toxic.
It's toxic. That's the best way to put it. It's toxic. But at Argentina, everybody loves Lionel Messi, loves him. And he has almost as many assists as he does goals. So I'm Lionel Messi for life. He can play until he's old and gray, as far as I'm concerned.
No, yeah, and the thing I believe is that we keep seeing this wonderful stuff of Messi, and it looks like he's not slowing down. Like maybe in terms of consistency and maybe in terms of whatever, but when it comes to his ceiling is always the highest up there. Like what he did to Guardiola is like he's holding up the ball against this prime specimen of like physical nature, and he's just holding up the ball like no problem whatsoever. And that's aspect to his game that, for instance, we haven't seen that much, holding up the ball like a proper target man. What the hell are you doing, Messi? And he's managed to pull that off as well. It's a sort of different aspects and variety to Messi's game that you really don't know what he's going to be doing that makes him superb. It's just like he knows ball. He plays football. That's it. He doesn't have to do the dribble. He just does the basic thing and is play football, do whatever I need to do to try and win the game. And plus add the whole magic and the whole other like different, traits that he has to his game. I think that everything that Messi does on the pitch is just superb. And it's like this World Cup has been building towards that moment. And now I wanted to put the question to you guys. Like the reality is that Messi's won a game from becoming like immortal, from becoming actually the best player, in my opinion. No discussions asked, no questions asked in the history of the sport. Just one game away, just 90 minutes away.
Hopefully just 90 minutes. We don't need a World Cup final going into extra time and penalties like we've seen in the past. But yet you can't take it away from him. If Messi wins this World Cup, I don't think there's any arguments whatsoever. There's nothing that you can say to discredit him. Individually, he's the best. He makes everybody around him better. He will have won every trophy available to him for club and country. So, like, there's nothing you could say to discredit Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I got to say, are we talking on Messi? I've had a bit of an issue again, obviously. But I have to say on Messi, I mean, still doing it at 35 is just unreal. I wondered how much of an impact he was going to have on this World Cup. And we've seen Ronaldo, obviously, but it's just ridiculous. How is he that good? I mean, us guys, we've been privileged enough to see him every 3 days against, like, even, the games that no one else watches, like Almeria away, Osasuna away, and he was still pulling out outrageous stuff just every 3 days under every manager at Barcelona. But I don't know. It's just been such a privilege to watch Messi all these years. He's been unbelievable. I mean, we've said it so many times, but to do it again now in Qatar, this Argentina team, he's taken them to the final again. I think it's incredible. And that performance the other night against Croatia was just outrageous. He is on top of the world still, and I find that insane.
This is the best Messi in the World Cup we've seen. Like he hadn't scored in knockout games, and he scored now in every single one of them. Like he's gonna score in the final. It's just like that's how history is building to this moment, and I think that's why it's so difficult not to be in this hype train for like what Argentina can achieve under him, because he's just surpassing himself in this World Cup more and more. He's now. When he plays the final, he'll be the player with the most World Cup appearances ever. That's how it works. It's just destiny. It makes it's weird. It's weird. Like we've seen Messi score his 1,000, I don't know, his 500 goal, whatever, in like a final in a Copa del Rey, and it's like Messi's game and history and trajectory and career is like written. It's perfectly written. It's like a prophecy.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost forgot how much I love watching Lionel Messi, because since leaving Barcelona, I mean, that first year at PSG, it's like watching your girlfriend with her new boyfriend or ex-girlfriend with a new boyfriend. Like that's just not you're not going on and scrolling through that page. You know what I mean? So did not watch much of any PSG that first year. Caught a couple of games this past half season, but it's not the same. So watching Lionel Messi with Argentina, it doesn't have that tinge of regret and pain with it, and you get to just enjoy the Magic Man. And it is, I said earlier, I don't know how else to describe it. It's pure joy. It's pure joy watching Lionel Messi. It's why I love football. It's why I continue to tune in. Like it's everything that you want in a footballer. You get in Lionel Messi, the creativity, the passion, the commitment, I keep reiterating, but the team play that he brings. That's what I'm most impressed with, is that he doesn't make it all about him. He's figured out a way to incorporate the players around him to bring out the best. I mean, Julian Alvarez has a chance at Golden Boot, and it's thanks to Lionel Messi. He's set up, I think, all of his goals.
Yeah, this final is going to be like Messi and Mbappe are both in 5 goals, Julian Alvarez in 4, and Giroud in 4. Like everything's going to be decided in this game. And one thing that I just read, breaking news, and I don't know, should I keep it for the final? I'm just going to say it here. Have you realized that Argentina has always played, they started playing with black shorts, and now they're playing with white shorts? Have you realized?
Like they started, when did that change happen?
It happened one of your little bizarre stats.
Yes. One of my bizarre stats. Like Argentina started playing the very first game against Saudi Arabia in their normal kit, and they had black shorts.
With the black?
But now they changed it to white shorts. And it's like they went like in the game against Mexico, they put the white shirts because they're like, okay, last time we won the World Cup, we played with white shorts. And ever since then, bam, 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 they've been winning. And now for the final, France playing white shorts. And Argentina went like, no, but we want white shirts as well. And France was like, okay. Or I don't know who they asked. But the thing is that France is going to be playing in all blue and Argentina is going to be playing in light blue white for the final. And it's going to be like, makes sense. Come on, it's coming home.
Don't say that.
Like France have changed their kit because of Argentina. It just makes sense.
Okay, you know what, BUGA? I like that. I think have been shooting 100% with these obscure stats and connections, but I'm into it.
I told you last time there was a coup.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, so you mentioned France then, so let's go ahead and jump over to that match because this one was interesting. If you look at the stats, France had 38% possession against Morocco. I mean, my take on this was that France pulled a Netherlands versus USA. They said, okay, you go ahead and have the ball. You're adorable. When we take it from you, we'll score. Okay? So France just gave Morocco the ball, and Morocco didn't really know what to do with it.
Yeah, I think
that we saw Dutch versus USA.
Yeah, like Morocco doesn't want the ball. And the Shams was like, you don't want the ball? Well, I don't need it either. So they gave the ball to Morocco, and they allowed them to play. And they were like, now it's your turn to attack. Like, come on. And it's just hated them. It's like France played like the smaller team, and it worked.
Mm-hmm. They love doing that under Deschamps, though. They do. Like they are a bit like that, France. And look, what I'll say on France is fair play to them because I think everyone came into this tournament probably, if you were to pick, I think people had 2 teams they thought were going to underperform this tournament: Belgium and France. One went out in the group stage, the other one's in the final. So fair play to France, and they probably go into the final as favourites too because of their past. So Deschamps has done it again. That football, it's stubborn enough. It works in tournaments. Like you said, giving up possession to Morocco. I think Morocco had like 15% against Spain. Like that's incredible for them to then have that much against France. And I think, to be fair, I think Morocco started really poorly. France hit them early, which is a massive error obviously, from Morocco's side. But I thought they grew into the game. I don't think this wasn't an Argentina-Croatia, in my opinion. I thought Morocco had chances in the second half. They played really well. Like, they can go out of this tournament with their head held really high. They've been superb, Morocco, really good. Mm-hmm. They've been hit with quite an unlucky second goal as well, by the way. It could have been a way more frantic ending. I mean, even at the end, we saw, Koundé blocking off the line and stuff. And like, all I'm saying is I don't think Morocco were awful at all.
Both goals. I think both goals, you could say, were a bit unlucky. Yeah. I mean, Theo Hernandez there, don't underestimate the difficulty of that goal. It's a full stretch, foot overhead, getting over top of that one. That most players mess that one up. And I think there was some nerves involved, particularly for Beno in goal. I think he didn't get settled in that first 15 minutes. You could see that there were some mistakes, but France tactically got it right. Giroud marking out Amrabat through most of that match. Giroud just kind of dropping in a little bit when France didn't have possession, and then Mbappe would kind of float out up top on that left wing, setting up the counterattack. Genius tactics from France.
I wanna give kudos as well to, I think, the defenders. I think it was the right choice dropping Upamecano and putting Konate in. I think Konate is one-on-one duels. That's one of the best things he does. Like I remember in the final against Real Madrid, like Vinicius was almost silent. The one moment Konate screwed up, that's when Vinicius scored the goal for the final in the Champions League.
But BUGA, was that a drop from Deschamps to drop Upamecano? It wasn't suspension.
I don't know. I don't know, but I think it worked either way. Maybe John can look it up. John's our researcher there.
And same with Rabiot in midfield coming out for Fofana, because I think when you get to a semi-final, to make two changes of that is big. So I wondered if it was injury, suspension, knocks.
Good Upamecano was a drop. He was available on the bench. Rabiot and one other fell ill. Rabiot was sick in bed, so he was unavailable. But there were a few changes, and somebody from Morocco mentioned after the game, they were like, listen, we did what we could. France could put out two teams into this World Cup, and honestly, they could put out a third. France, I think, are the deepest nation by far, and this match really highlighted that.
Yeah, 100%.
Rotations, you had a different looking starting 11 for this. Same result, no problem.
And also we have to talk about Dembele, because I think from all the players of France that ain't gonna get that much recognition, Dembele has only got one assist, I think, in this World Cup, and that's like not the best, of course, but in reality, it's like, in reality, the role that he's got into this team, and similar to Rafinha in Brazil, Dembele is just working his ass off. He's so disciplined, coming back, tracking, marking his runner. That's the whole Deschamps, like that's the one thing he loves from a winger, and that's why he's having like that advantage over someone like Coman or Colomwani. And at the end of the day, in the final, like he's gonna be playing a key part of that. And whether they win it or not, hopefully people do recognize what he's done, because he's a different sort of player now. And I really like him watching. I really like watching him play this World Cup.
Yeah. Like I think Dembele, I think he'll be so happy, because I don't think a few years ago, or even a year ago, we could have imagined Dembele would be a starter for France. He was always like a bench player for them, like the erratic, pacey winger who can come off the bench. But now that he's in there and that he tracks back as well, I think that's what I got to say. That's Xavi's work. Like
he's doing the Matuidi job. He's in the Matuidi.
Yeah, but this is Ousmane Dembele. Like that, you wouldn't expect Ousmane Dembele to be doing the Matuidi job. You know what I mean? So he's been immense. John, you might have a few things to say on Dembele. I said Griezmann I wanted to highlight, because I don't know what it is about Griezmann, but he went from this kind of like the pacey striker to like this workhorse in like CDM. He's popped as a third centre back as well so many times for France. He's got a really bizarre role, but it works so well. He's one of the most hardworking, like best players in the world I've seen. Like he's so good at working hard. I think Koundé as well at right back. I mean, I always rated Koundé, but I just think he's class. I think Koundé's a brilliant defender. I think Barca are super lucky to have him, and I like him in that right back role. I think it gives France massive solidity, and I think he's been a huge reason why they're in the final. Him and Dembele work well as well. Barca should be doing that.
Yeah, I think Koundé is not doing himself any favors playing so well at right back, because I know he doesn't speak out about it, but you see little hints of like, nah, I'm happy to do it. I'd love to be in the center, but happy to play right back, getting more comfortable, getting familiar. He uses that kind of language with it, but he's world class. So it's hard to not have him there, particularly when you have so many other options at center back, both for France and Barcelona. And right back is just one of those positions kind of worldwide right now that there's not a lot of depth. So when you have somebody like a Koundé who can fill that position, you go with it. To touch on Griezmann, I agree with everything that you said there. Somebody I saw mention on Twitter that Griezmann right now is filling in for Pogba, Kanté, and Matuidi all in one. And he kind of is. I'm happy for him, because I think that his career and his personal brand kind of took a hit during the whole Barcelona transfer, that whole drama and saga, and even being loaned out to Atletico before they figured out making that a full transfer. Now that that's behind him and he has this World Cup, this is where he's comfortable. This is where he is most loved and appreciated. So Griezmann having a wonderful tournament. I do have a talking point on Dembele, and it's going to sound like an insult, but I don't mean it as one. What I see from Dembele in this tournament, my takeaway is that Dembele is a vastly talented player, but he is the Scottie Pippen to a Michael Jordan. He's not the one. He is the number 2 that will get you the championships. He needs a Messi. He needs an Mbappe. He needs that star player that's the number 1. And then Dembele can be the best number 2 on the planet. Assist king. Goals here and there. But I don't think Dembele is the guy that's going to put the team on his shoulders consistently and be the man for club or country. I think he's Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. I don't think too many people are gonna know your reference. But
I know I'm old
I do.
and it's basketball, so
I do because of my dad, because he watches too many NBA.
Go watch The Last Dance and then come back and tell me how.
But no, I think you're right. I feel that Dembele's role is similar to that, particularly Barcelona or whatnot. But that's not a bad role to have.
No, and that's why I mean, like, it's going to sound like an insult, but I don't mean it as such. You know, it's good to know where your role is. Yep. Where can you best fit in? And I think that's what we're learning from Dembele.
And I think we should also talk about Morocco a bit, because what they did in this World Cup completely is amazing, and highlighting some few players like Unahi.
Yeah,
playing for Angers in France. He's a player. He's a player. He's a baller. He's a baller. Then Amrabat, this whole campaign, maybe not this game that much, but this whole campaign, he has been insane. And others like Ziyech, everyone have been working so hard. But Unahi for me is a revelation, breakout for this World Cup, certainly, and Amrabat as well.
Yeah, well, Unahi's been great. By the way, who saw that challenge from Amrabat on Mbappe?
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Which one you're referring to, yeah.
Like the one, I think in the second half, Mbappe was going and Amrabat cleaned him straight out. They didn't give it as a free kick. You remember,
Yeah, I remember.
Was flying,
Yeah.
Amrabat's been very impressive throughout this tournament. I mentioned he I think got marked out of the game just from having Giroud drop in and not allow him to get the passes. But I don't like. I'd be happy to have just about anybody from Morocco at my club. Like the mentality that they bring in, the team play, the commitment, and the sacrifice of everyone being willing to cover defensively, make the runs to open up space, sprint forward to join a counterattack. I mean, Buffal, give me that guy. His cleverness, his quick feet. Again, fun to watch. I really appreciated Morocco in this tournament.
Yeah, and I think the praise we can give them the most is that when their biggest of players are missing, like Agüero, Roman Saiz, the two main starting center backs, they put their two backups, and it's like it works the same.
Yeah.
Almost
better.
Yeah,
almost better. Sure. Yeah, argument to be made there. I think. We ready to talk about the final then?
Yes, sir.
I think so. Yeah.
Argentina versus France. How are we feeling going into this? Pablo, well, let's start with you, sir.
I think France will consider themselves favourites. I think they'll back themselves to have the experience to come over Argentina. I think player for player, they'll consider themselves stronger than Argentina too. They've won it, of course, before in 2018 with a similar crop of players, same manager. So I think France will be considering themselves favourites. They've got players like Mbappe as well, Griezmann, Giroud, proven players who've done it before. Argentina will have that belief. They've got the Messi factor. They've fought a lot this tournament. They've been very strong. I think they'll have the momentum with them, Argentina, almost more than France, I feel, with the way they've got the final. France have more hobbled through because of their style of football. Argentina have gone through, I think, feeling quite alive and quite emotional. So, like, if I was to do it percentage-wise, I'd go probably I'd go 55 France, 45 Argentina.
That close.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a close one. But like I say, I think France will go into it as favourites. But I think an issue Argentina will have and that they've got to be careful not to do as well, and what I think probably will end up happening is France again will give up the ball. And if France give up the ball and if Argentina then leaves spaces, you leave spaces to Mbappe, and I think they'll kill you. So Argentina have got to be really careful that France don't snatch the final away from them like that and that they don't have a chance to get it back. They've got to be spot on. But I got to say, Scaloni, I think tactically has been so good this tournament. Every time he's noticed when to do things, like what was it against Croatia, the 4-man midfield, he saw Brazil and he put 2 in there against Croatia's 3. He put 4, absolutely suffocated them. There was something else against Netherlands as well, going to back 3 against Netherlands to match up with Van Gaal. So things like that, Scaloni's very good at that. If he can get it right against France, they'll have a great chance. That rhymed. But if I had to go one way, I think this is tilting just to France. They'll consider themselves favourites.
Yeah, I feel France are favorites. I think the way that they approach this game, I think you have 2 different sides of how you can win a game. I feel you can win a game by the play, but what you're actually doing on the pitch, and by controlling the results. And I think these 2 teams, they do the results part better than the actual game. And on top of that, they do it differently. Like, I think Argentina is a side that has gotten here all through passion, through heart, through commitment, through working hard, for running for the second ball, for not giving up when the shit hits the fan. I think stuff like that, that's where Argentina has done the best. And France is the opposite. France have gotten here by managing the results, by tactically, because of the squad depth, because of what they have. And I think this is beautiful because we get to see 2 different types of football, or maybe the same style of football, but different ways to get there. So you have, in one side, you have the heart, and the other one, you have the brain. That's the way that I would describe this final. I feel France are, like you say, the brains, and Argentina is the passion, and it's just who's going to win it. I have no idea. I really have no idea. I think, like Pablo said, it's leaning towards a little bit more for France because they have the experience, they have everything. And I just feel that maybe for Argentina, it's like Argentina needs to have more of a perfect game than France do to try and win the game. And I think that will require a little bit more from Argentina. And maybe that could cost them, but maybe that's when they do it better. Maybe that's when Argentina show up, when they know they need to, I know they're the underdogs, so they need to play better. Let's wait and see and find out. But I think it's going to be an interesting game no matter what happens. And I feel that in Argentina, they believe they are not the best, but maybe something's happening, and they're just going to keep working, like I said. So until the last minute, they're not going to be giving up.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see the tactics that go into this one. I'm struggling to think that France are going to give up that much possession to Argentina like they did against Morocco. I don't think France are going to feel that confident. I think they're going to go for a little bit more, and it's going to be a little bit closer to 50-50 in terms of possession. Because Argentina aren't, boy, I'm arguing with myself in my head. I'm going back and forth. I'll say this. I think France have nothing to lose. Pablo, you mentioned they were one of the teams expected to maybe underperform. We have not had a back-to-back World Cup winner in how long? So France, making it this far, have outperformed expectations. So they've got nothing to lose in that regard. Argentina, however, it's win the World Cup final or bust. So they've got all that pressure. They've had a very emotionally draining tournament. France, on the other hand, kind of walked through this, yes, the England game, I think, had its ups and downs and maybe took something out of them. But at the end of the day, like, that didn't even go into extra time. I'm scrolling through France's matches this tournament, and it has not been a tough tournament for them. I mean, they had the loss against Tunisia in the third match of the group stage, but I don't think anybody really cared about that. Walked past Australia, walked past Denmark, walked past Poland. The England match was a fun one, like I said, but not exactly like a grueling 120-minute plus penalties. You didn't have that. Morocco took care of business, So I think France are coming into this kind of fresh with a nothing to lose mentality, while Argentina are coming in a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, a little bit worn down. but I think that they knew that going into this tournament. I think that they knew that this was going to be a grind. They knew that this was going to be a bit of suffering to get the result. And I think they're up for it. I think they've come too far to stop now. I think Argentina get this 1-0 within the 90 minutes.
Oh no, I think this is gonna be all out. I think it's gonna be like 3-2. I think this is gonna be
really
a final. I think this is gonna be a final.
I hope you're right. I would love a 3-2.
I think it's gonna be a final because there are just so many different aspects that need to come to place, and particularly because I don't know what is Scaloni planning. I think that France lineup is done. I think like we can all say it. Lloris, Koundé, Varane, Konate, Theo Hernandez. Then you have Rabiot with Tchouaméni, Griezmann, Dembele, Mbappe, Giroud. Argentina, I think we all know it, but the main thing that I believe he's debating is whether to go with two lines of four, like four midfielders, or go with a back five. I don't think he's going to be playing with three forwards. I don't think he's going to be going with Di Maria or Lautaro or Papu Gomez. No. I don't think that. I think he's going to be going with two lines of four or a five at the back. And I think that makes me feel that it just doesn't match. Don't matter what Argentina do, I think France can still get the goal. I don't know. I think it's going to be 3-2. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be a game. I don't think it's going to be that tactical. I think that a final is just different. And yeah,
I get the best game. I think Scaloni is going to go for the two lines of four. If I could guess, I think like De Paul, Paredes, Enzo, and McAllister. I think that obviously means no Lisandro at the back, but I think that's what they went for against Croatia, isn't it? And I think they'll go for that. I'm just trying to think about what he'd do in terms of to match up to France, and I think that would work best.
The best I've seen Argentina is for a back line of five. The best that I've seen of Argentina is.
Do you think? Do you like the five?
Yeah, against Mexico, I think it was, or against Poland, and then against the Netherlands. I think that's the best I've seen of Argentina, and I like how it opens up Nahuel Molina, for instance. I think that you cannot go through the right hand side of France. So who match up against Koundé? Acuna. I think you cannot attack that way, and I think you have to attack.
You can't get past Dreams.
No, you can't. So you have to go through Theo Hernandez. And I think that's where Molina being a little bit more free up, knowing that Messi cannot do that back and forth run through the right flank. I think that's where Molina, you can just let him loose a little bit and look for the same chance and opportunity like where he scored the goal against Netherlands. I think that run to the behind of a Dumfries, in this case Theo Hernandez, and that's how you can pressure them perhaps a little bit more. Depends on whether Upamecano plays or whether Konate, but I feel that's where you attack if you're Argentina. And then Julian Alvarez, for me, has been quite a revelation. I don't know if you stop Mbappe either. I mean, can Acuna stop Mbappe? No, he doesn't even play that way. It would be
Molina.
Yeah, it would be Molina.
That's why maybe you need Christian Romero there. Maybe that's why you go with a back five.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about a back five, though, just because then that leaves a lot of space in the midfield for France. I think that's where you got to prioritize. I think you got to just say, okay, Romero, you're going to have to provide coverage on that right side for Molina when Mbappe gets by. Because if you think about, going back to what are Argentina going to do on the attack, Molina pushing forward, that's going to be too dangerous because Koundé can stop him. And then Mbappe's got you on the counterattack. So I think if you just forget about pushing Molina forward, have him sit back, mark Mbappe, Romero is there for coverage. I think Argentina's window is on that left side. I think Tagliafico has the pace and the tactical know-how to push forward at the right times to make those runs, that he's going to be a big headache for Theo Hernandez on that left-hand side.
No, it would be Molina. It would be Molina for Theo. And Tagliafico on the other side.
Tagliafico. Oh, I have that backwards. I have that backwards. Okay, then. Okay, forget what I just said then. I'm going Romero. I got nothing. I don't know. There's no stopping Mbappe. Maybe you just accept that.
I mean, I think England did a good job.
And go from there. That's what I think. If you haven't got like a Walker or a Reece James, I don't know. These Mbappe plans are just
Yeah.
What I would say, what I would do for Argentina is I would go for the 4-man midfield. The reason for that is I think that it comes down to what I said about Brazil versus Croatia. I think that's the way you can get at France. And I know that Griezmann kind of counts for like 4 players this World Cup and that he'll be in the midfield as well, digging in. But Tchouaméni and Rabiot aren't going to control a football match, in my opinion. So if you get around them, those two aren't going to control a game. And that's if I was Spain going to this final, and I know Luis Enrique would know this, he'd be thinking, we are going to suffocate France in midfield. We're going to have, that's why we put Rodri at centre-back. Rodri would come into midfield. You've got Rodri, Busquets, Pedri, Gavi. Goodbye, Tchouaméni and Rabiot. That's what we'd be doing. So I think Argentina will try and do a similar thing with their 4.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'm
it's tight. It's very tight. It's very tight. It's very, very tight, this final. I don't really know who to go for. I see more Argentina failing than actually winning, but I think that's just my supporter like bias or whatnot.
Yeah.
What are our final predictions then? Or have we got some more thoughts before?
No, I was looking at the 2018 final to see if it gave me any feelings. Yeah. It makes me nervous. It does. It makes me very nervous. This is going to be a huge letdown if France pull ahead. Like if this is a repeat of the 2018 final and it's 3-1, late in this match, and then inevitably, well, what did it end up? 4-1, 4-2? Yeah, 4-2. But that scoreline does not represent the match, really. France were never troubled in that game. So I want a good final. I want Messi to go out on top. If it's a shootout, I don't think Argentina get it. I think if it is, a 3-2 like BUGA was predicting, I think France get it. But I'm going to hold strong. I'm going to say it's actually a little bit more conservative, and I'm going Argentina 1-0 in regular time.
I'm going to go. If I've got to pick something, come on, for the podcast, I'm going to go 2-1 France in normal time. I think France will go 2-0 up. Messi penalty 80th minute, but it's not enough.
I could also see this one going to penalties, boys.
I think it goes to pens. I think it goes to pens. Argentina win it.
Yeah, I could just see that. I could see Messi scoring the winner or whatever, something like crazy like that. No, actually, I'm gonna go for like who could score the winner. Who's the weird one? Otamendi scoring the winner.
He's been great. He's been great.
Yeah, no, but I think it could be like I said Argentina 3-2, or I think it goes all the way to penalties. I do think this final is gonna be a good one, and I feel it has a lot of meaning to it. The last time a champion repeated was in 62, I think. Yeah, in 1962, Brazil. And then Brazil repeated in 1994. In the final, they didn't win. They lost against Italy. Then against France in 98, they lost again. And then they finally won it in 2002.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel this French generation can do something similar, but I just want to say Argentina win it. If Argentina win it 3-2 or on penalties.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
Ooh. All right. It's going to be nervy times. I'm hoping for a good match. It'll be an event either way. Lionel Messi's last match, chance for France to repeat. Whole world will be watching. And we, of course, will be here the day after. We'll be back on our regularly scheduled podcast recording. So we'll be doing a World Cup recap. We'll give out some awards. The roomies, as BUGA is pushing for these to be called.
I like it.
We'll talk about some standout players. We'll talk about a World Cup recap, and then we'll maybe take a look at returning to domestic league play in the next episode. All right. Go ahead and sign off, fellas.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching. Last one before the final, so next time we'll be here, we'll know the World Cup winner. Unbelievable. So, yeah, been good again, though. Should be a really good final as well. I think because the semi-finals, we were a bit like, are these great games? They turned out not to be great games in the end, so they're quite one-sided. France, Argentina, to cap it off, is a good final, so hopefully everyone enjoys it.
Yep. Vamos, muchachos. Ahora nos volvimos a ilusionar.
All right. We'll catch you next time, folks. Thanks for listening.
Peace.